Hey, I'm Trey, and I have another very sad serial killer story. Every day we make choices. Some of those choices that we make jeopardize our lives. But all we can do is remain vigilant so we can make the best decisions to protect ourselves and our loved ones. If you enjoy stories like these that will remind you to stay sharp amongst a world filled with serial killers, then hit the subscribe button. Also the like button and notification button so you can be reminded of new content that I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Also, please leave your comments in the comments section because I'm always interested in feedback on the video and or the channel. Well, if you're ready, let's get started. (1989) in the country of Australia, an 82-year-old woman by the name of Gwendolyn Mitchell was walking down the street. An unidentified man followed Gwendolyn to her entry foyer of her apartment building. As she opened the front door, he hit her with a hammer on the back of her head and body. Several of her ribs were broken. I'm sorry, but it takes a lot of balls to just bust somebody in the head with a hammer repeatedly, let alone an elderly woman. All this was done for $100 and a purse, which was taken. Gwendolyn was initially found alive but died shortly after due to brain damage before the police arrived. The police had no witnesses or leads. The police assumed that it was just another mugging gone bad. A short time later, an 84-year-old woman by the name of Ashton was on her way home when an unidentified man followed her into her foyer of her apartment building. This is where she was attacked with a hammer. He repeatedly bashed her about the head on the pavement until she was unconscious. The actor recalled this when he was eventually captured, that she had almost overpowered him until he fell on top of her and hit her head on the pavement. That 84-year-old woman almost beat you up? That says a lot about you, man. After she was knocked unconscious, she was strangled with her own pantyhose. The pantyhose was strung so tightly around her neck that it cut through the skin. This was the homicide that the press gave the nickname the Granny Killer to the actual murderer. Over the course of several months, the unknown perpetrator was believed to have seriously assaulted several elderly women in the general area where the murders had occurred. Many of the victims were either blindsided by the attacker or were knocked unconscious, so the victims could not provide the authorities with a description of the assailant. An 85-year-old widow by the name of Margaret was walking home from grocery shopping when she was hit in the back of her head with a blunt instrument, and then she collapsed. She was struck again and again until her skull split completely open. No one saw the attack, but a few minutes later her body was found dumped in an alleyway. The police again had no leads or witnesses. Less than 24 hours later, an elderly woman by the name of Miss Cleveland became uncomfortable after being approached by an unknown person while she sat on a public bench. She then got up and proceeded to walk to the nearest building for safety. Miss Cleveland was attacked from behind, then forced down a ramp into a secluded side of the building. The attacker then hit her repeatedly, bashing her head into the concrete before he removed her pantyhose, then tied it tightly around her neck until she died. What's really up with the pantyhose, dude? The killer stole money and her handbag. Either it was the police incompetence or the willingness to sweep the homicide under the rug, but once again, the elderly woman's injuries were initially attributed to a heavy fall. No eyewitnesses were found, but shortly afterwards, realizing it was a homicide, the state government placed a reward on the killer's head. A 93-year-old woman by the name of Muriel Falconer was walking and returning home from shopping. The actor followed Muriel to the exterior of her home, then quietly moved up behind her while she opened her front door. Muriel was partially deaf and blind, so it wasn't difficult to sneak up on her. I'm sorry, weak people love to prey on the weakest. The actor then put his hand around her mouth to silence her while hitting her about the head and neck with this hammer until she was unconscious. While on the floor, she began to regain consciousness and cried for help. She was hit repeatedly with the hammer until she finally passed out. The actor then removed her undergarments and used them to strangle her to death. Here we go again with the pantyhose. He's a killer and a freak. January 1990, a strange man visited the local hospital. While in his work uniform, the strange man went to the terminally ill care ward, which was a restricted area that contained 4 elderly women, one of which was an 82-year-old patient by the name of Daisy Roberts. The stranger asked if she was losing any body heat. Then he pulled up her nightgown and placed his fingers into her vaginal canal. Now that's just downright disgusting. Daisy panicked and called for help. A nurse confronted the man and then chased him to his vehicle. The nurse provided the police with the vehicle registration number. The police identified the man as John Glover. He was located at another local hospital recovering from an attempted suicide via overdose. Here we go. Now he wants to feel sorry for himself. Glover was interviewed over the nursing home incident and denied all accusations. The hospital staff treating Glover for his attempted suicide handed over a suicide note written by Glover. The note stated, "No more grannies," and Essie started it. Further investigation by the police identified Essie as Glover's mother-in-law. The police had limited evidence and did not question him over the murders, but Glover was put under constant police surveillance. March of 1990, while under constant surveillance and watched as a 60-year-old woman by the name of Joan Sinclair let Glover into her home around 10 a.m. The police and the surveillance team became concerned around 5 p.m. and got a search warrant to enter the residence. Sinclair was found on the floor dead with her head bashed in and wrapped in towels. Sinclair's clothing was torn off and she had been raped. He raped a 60-year-old woman. I'm done. I'm gonna go throw up my lunch now. Glover was found in the bathtub making another suicide attempt via overdose and slit in his wrist. Medical attention was rendered and Glover was arrested. Glover confessed to all the known homicides at the time. A psychiatrist stated that Glover had built up aggression towards his mother-in-law. A psychiatrist stated that Glover had built up aggression toward his mother and his mother-in-law. Glover had been separated from his wife and 2 children. He believed that his marriage failure was due to his mother-in-law. Okay, mother-in-laws, what did we learn today? This was his trigger to murder elderly women. Glover was sentenced to life in prison. After serving 15 years, Glover gave a partial confession that he may have been involved with at least an additional 7 homicides of elderly women that were undetected by the authorities. Before Glover could give an official confession, he committed suicide by hanging himself. Well, I hope you enjoyed this story. If so, hit the like button, subscribe, and notification button so you can be reminded of new content that I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. God bless you and stay safe.